Still to come on today's programme, a pioneering river reboot that scientists say has brought an explosion of wildlife back to the wetlands of Somerset. First though, it's time to join our colleagues for the news where you are.
Hello there, good afternoon. The private flight repatriating former First Minister Alex Salmond is due to land at Aberdeen Airport very shortly. We'll go live to the airport in just a moment for the latest from our political correspondent Andrew Kerr. But first, David Henderson reports now on the events in North Macedonia earlier, where Mr Salmond's coffin was put onto a flight back home, draped in the saltire.
A guard of honour for Scotland's former First Minister before his last journey home. It's 6 days since Alex Salmond's sudden death at a conference in North Macedonia. This morning, his body was brought here to Ohrid Airport for a flight back to Aberdeen. This was a sombre moment and bore the hallmarks of a state event. The coffin was met by the country's former president, Georgi Ivanov, with him the UK ambassador and Mr Salmond's Alaba Party colleague Tasmina Ahmed Sheikh. They draped the coffin in the saltire. Then, as a traditional lament was played, the coffin was borne to the plane by the honour guard. This private jet was paid for by the Scottish businessman Sir Tom Hunter. He said Mr Salmond deserved the dignity and privacy of a private return. So the flight took off, bound for Scotland, leaving one small country, returning to another. David Henderson reporting Scotland.
Well, let's join our political correspondent now, Andrew Kerr, who is waiting on the arrival of that flight at Aberdeen Airport. And Andrew, it is expected very shortly.
Yes, that's right, Sarah. Just, I think, in about the next 12 minutes, we believe the flight is just south of the city just now, just south of Aberdeen City, and will then track in this way, perhaps circling around and coming in to land from a northerly direction before finally coming to a standstill near the air traffic control building here at Aberdeen Airport. The Salmond family and friends have arrived. They have been taken airside and a hearse has gone airside as well. Once the plane arrives carrying the coffin will be taken off and a piper will play Freedom Come All Ye, a favourite tune of Alex Salmond. So a number of Alaba Party members are gathering here as well, including his great friend and former colleague Kenny McCaskill, the former Justice Secretary. He's been a friend of Alex Salmond for more than 60 years. So a lot of anticipation building here at Aberdeen Airport. That flight should be arriving fairly soon, just slightly delayed. It is fairly windy at the moment.
And Andrew, what will the next steps be then?
Yes, well, once the hearse takes the coffin through the airport gates, the family will then follow on behind and the hearse will start making its journey north, as will the family. The family will then head back to the Salmond home, and of course that will include his widow Moira Salmond. And then the hearse should carry on to Fraserburgh to a funeral director there. It's possibly there might be a small procession there. People will greet the arrival of the hearse there. Now, the family have been meeting the local minister at Stricken, planning a private family funeral, which should take place in about 10 days' time. But after that, that might possibly be in November, there will be a much fuller memorial service planned in possibly Edinburgh. Now, Mr Salmond was a colourful character in life, a controversial character too, and the family hope that memorial will pay tribute to what they believe is his very strong political legacy, including, of course, probably the most memorable thing, delivering that Scottish independence referendum back in 2014.
OK, our political correspondent Andrew Kerr, thank you very much for that update. And we will, of course, bring you much more on this story as and when we get it. But elsewhere this lunchtime, the chief executive of the